And where does the new King of London have to be hurrying off to so soon? The vampire in front of Dio smiled greatly, almost like he was looking for the opportunity to show off a little bit. Dio had to keep himself from smirking too widely. No one should show their hand that quickly, after all. Well, you're clearly newer than I thought. Only a young vampire wouldn't have heard the shot heard around the world, the rallying cry for all of vampire kind. He said, leaning towards Dio, almost like he was trying to hear him better. Dio chose to ignore the affront to his personal space for now. I don't believe I've heard of any such thing. Please do your best to enlighten a beginner. Dio gestured with his right hand gently, almost hypnotically. The vampire before him almost felt swayed by the pull, like a moth toward a glowing flame. Like a moth, he should have recognized the danger of the fire presented to him. Lord Dracula, the man responded instead. At this point in the man's mind, he wasn't sure if he was saying it because he wanted to or because it had been pulled out of him. He chose to act like it was the former. It's called a conference of every important vampire on the continent. Something of utmost importance, evidently. A final war against the human race. He smiled. Just think of it, the new world order that will be applied after we win. Vampires is the dominant species on the planet, as we were always meant to be. Final war? Dio asked. He paused and thought. As far as he knew, nothing was ever final, except for death. And what preceded this announcement? He said, a bit of anger seeping into his voice. The indignity that somebody might be screwing up the world before he had gotten a chance to rule it had just been too much. The vampire across from Dio paused. At this point, he was starting to sense the pure malice radiating from the man before him. I don't believe I like your tone. He waved his hand for his vampires to commence bearing down on Dio. In his mind, it was time to stop humoring the man. If he didn't teach Dio his place in the world very soon, it was likely that he would try to usurp him. Unfortunately for this vampire, Dio was already above him. Somebody was humoring somebody. It was just the other way around. Dio raised his hand as his minion fled from his side in a blur of light. In an instant, every vampire that was sent after him was crushed to dust. Some quite literally, from the waves that poured out from the sides of the street. Dio wasn't a stupid man. He knew there were likely more vampires in the world. Even if he suspected the Belmonts killed them all, it wasn't like he wasn't going to plan for the eventuality of running into another one. So he had to make sure he had more minions, more underlings. He was planning on building them up a lot more before this, but it looked like they had been tested just a bit earlier than he had intended. They were performing swimmingly, though. For a moment, Dio considered taking this man's underlings before him, but his vampires were clearly far superior. They had taken apart his forces in a matter of minutes. Maybe Dio just had better choice. Dio Brando always did settle for nothing but the best of the best, those who were interesting enough to be in his presence.